Yeah, it is continuing to be a busy week. Tonight I'm doing just really quickly. I'm doing the Super September giveaway. Then tomorrow I'll be doing a live stream for the book launch again.
Hmm.
And then Monday I fly to New York. We're going to do a big signing at a place called Montessori Comics.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, so and hopefully catch up with people at New York Comic Con. So and
Yeah.
then auditions and acting in between.
Yeah, all the work, back to work.
The actual stuff that I'm, supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so talk to me.
I met you at SuperCon here in Florida,
Hmm.
and I
That was a
made,
fun time.
yeah, I met you with Lucy and the other girls, and it was Jeannie's first show. But I feel like the cool thing about the Overwatch voice actors is every time I meet them, everyone's so like friendly and pleasant. But you guys also feel like a family all
Mm.
the time, and I don't know if that comes from because I'm sure you record. Everyone does their solo recording for that,
Yeah, it comes more
or maybe
from
from events and things like that.
events.
Or
Yeah, it comes. I think it came more from us spending time together outside the studio. We first came together. The very first time we came together was at a big meetup, where it was like a cast party.
mm-hmm.
That they had after BlizzCon for all of the actors in Overwatch, and it was lovely. It was such a sweet thing, and that was when we first all got to connect with each other, and so we just continued that, and well, I mean, so my best friend is in the game now. I mean, I should say not now. She became my best friend
Mm-hmm.
during through the course of the game. Like these relationships developed over time based, I think, on what we were all experiencing at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's a very cool game just because of that whole feeling also, but it also there's so much representation of different people that the characters are represented by
Yes.
people of the same origin, and
Yeah, well, and
which
even
is cool.
even when it's not,
Mm-hmm.
because we do go a little bit outside the boundaries of that
Yeah,
with a few characters. Even when it's not, there is so much attention paid to it being accurate, so much attention paid to it being respectful, so much attention paid to the culture of it, and it's tricky as an actor because on one hand we want to be precise.
mm-hmm.
We want to have an Indian playing Symmetra, and we want to have, we want to have a Japanese fellow playing Hanzo. We want all of these things, but at the same time we also want to allow people to be actors,
Yeah.
which means you don't have to be the exact thing that you are portraying. So where is that
Mm-hmm.
boundary is the tricky thing, right? And it is just a tricky thing. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a tricky thing, but I'm very glad that in Overwatch we've done a pretty great job. They've done a pretty great job there of making that choice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to talk about the book that I got to read it early because I did the whole Kickstarter and everything, and I
Yes,
really
thank
enjoyed it.
you, thank
But
you, thank you for supporting.
mhm. But I guess I know you have your podcast, and did the book kind of stemmed from the podcast,
From
or
the
was it?
it was more like this. It was a YouTube series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you would have your friends on and stuff, and I know they're also featured in the book, kind of as special guests in between. But also, yeah, I guess when did you get the idea? Because I guess you probably had this whole all the series going on, and then you probably had some point like, oh, I should turn this into a book, or I have a lot, I can make this
Yeah.
into a book maybe, or
I think a
something
lot of
like it.
people, I think a lot of people, or in my life, a lot of my friends had been trying to encourage me to write a book for many years, and it just to write something for many years,
Mm-hmm.
and then it became, you should turn this into a book, you should turn this into a book. So
Yeah.
I really don't know what the specific impetus was, other than I just felt like, okay, now's the time. And it definitely felt like the timing was right in terms of us coming out of this lockdown and figuring out a way to live with the challenges that we had to shut down the world for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as connected as we can feel through these gadgets, it's almost more likely these days that someone feels alone. And I don't want anyone to feel alone. I want people to know that they are not alone. And that's the number one goal of this book, to let you know that someone else has been through it. It's not the exact same thing that you're going through,
Yeah.
but trust me, we've all had these ups and downs. We've all been in on our knees in addition to jumping for joy. Like it's part of the human experience. So I wanted to share that with people. And books, I feel like, are just, it's like the difference between a play and television. Like just being a different medium gives
Hmm.
a different experience. I feel
Yeah.
like when you're doing the series, I'm definitely talking to you this way. But when you read a book, it's almost like you get to jump into the author's head.
Yeah. I like hear their when I know the person, I hear their voice as I'm reading. I'm reading Dave Grohl's book now, and I hear his
Oh
voice
my-
reading it in my head.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
must be good too.
Yeah. And even in the beginning of the book, you said how I think it said like this book is for everyone because we all it's not because sometimes people write a book like I'm this I don't know like I felt this as a woman, so I'm gonna write a book for women, but you wrote a book like
Right.
this is
This
for everyone
particular
because
one,
like a
this
human
particular,
experience type book,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
cool.
And I know it's generally not advised to like make your audience everyone, because it's hard to it's very hard to edit and all of that. But I really feel like, I mean, it's definitely not for people under 14 because there's a lot of cursing in it.
Yeah.
I would say that. But yeah, for some reason, I just wanted this to be my first book.
Hmm.
I have several books in my head, and I wanted this to be the first one because the next few will be probably a narrower group of audience members. So yeah, it was fun, and it was so easy to do after doing the series.
Yeah, you already have all these. Like I have another blog where I just write. It started as mostly like stupid thoughts each week and type things, and I was like, this could be a book one day if I went through and like revised everything and picked some of my favorites and started making them into like longer chapters or putting some
Yeah,
together.
right. And that's all that the book was when I did the series as well.
Hmm.
When someone would send in a question, what I did not want to do was give them an answer they had heard before.
Yeah.
At the very least, if I was going to give an answer that is often given, I wanted to frame it in a different way. Because sometimes it's you hear something 1,000 times, but it's that 1,001th time. 1,001th? Did I just say one? 1,001st time.
Yeah.
I'm hilarious. I speak English, I swear. But it's that last time that tips you over the edge, or that different wording or something that makes you go, oh, now I get it. And I wanted this to be, I wanted the series to be like that. It's not high art. Everything that I'm saying, someone has said before. It's just the way I'm saying it and the unique experiences that I have had.
Hmm.
It makes it a different thing. And yeah, I very much, as a result of not wanting to give a pat answer in the series, in the book, I really wanted to expand on that. So there was a reason that you got the book after the series, that it wasn't just the same thing. And I dive into a lot more personal stories.
Hmm.
I share a lot about my dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved writing this book.
No, I feel like as I was reading it, it reminds me of I don't want to say self-help books, but like the books you'd find in that section, except it has the life stories and like the life lessons and the real stories.
Yeah,
But it
I very much did not want to write a self-help
yeah,
book
because I
because
think those follow like a specific philosophy or they're trying to teach you like one thing
yeah,
different ways. I feel like yours
I
is
also
throwing
think
all kinds of things in.
I also think most self-help books are written from a place of this is what you should do.
Yeah, like I studied
And
this.
I am not I will I have no right to tell anyone what they should do. It's everyone's choice.
Mhm.
But I can share stories and see if it helps, and see if something in my story tells you or triggers what you should do in your own head. But I don't, yeah, I very much did not want it to be that way. And I didn't want it's not an autobiography by any means either. Like those stories are here to serve a purpose, to help people feel like they're not alone, and to maybe, if they're looking through a kaleidoscope, to maybe turn the kaleidoscope one notch so you
Mhm.
see the world in a slightly different way. And yeah, I'm hoping that it achieves that with people. I'm hoping someone out there reads this and gets to say, wow, I didn't realize that everyone goes through this, or at least someone else, one person has gone through this, and have the ability to not feel so alone in the experience that they're having.
Yeah, because there's some parts, there's like a lot of stories in there, or parts that are like, oh, this is hitting close to me. I felt this before. Then there's parts that maybe they aren't, but you're still such a great writer, or you're being funny about it, and it's still entertaining to read, even if.
Well, that's good. Thank you. I'm glad about that. I did want it to be fun. I mean, obviously, if you look at the book, like I don't know if you have the book there.
Yeah, I have it here, but
so like it looks like a children's book. It's not a children's book. Again, there's a lot of cursing in it, but I wanted it to be fun to read. I wanted it to be an experience. I wanted it to feel like a nice, this is a real book. It's not like a tiny book. This is not a leaflet. This is a book. And I wanted it to be something just really fun to read.
Yeah. No, what's really cool is also like the like illustrations, the style of the book. There's
oh my God, our illustrator Vivian Fong is just, she's out of this world. I met her online, first of all, on Twitter. When we were doing like a fan art Friday or whatever, and she started showing stuff, and it was so good. And she's not just an extraordinarily talented artist, she's a lovely human. And I'm so grateful that she was willing to do this. So grateful.
Yeah. But there's also the colors, like the big fonts and stuff, just things that pop out. Like I don't think there's like a format to it like a normal book, but there is. Like, it's not chaos at the same time, which is cool.
Right,
like there's a format without there being a...
Yeah. So here's the thing also about the format of the book is I very much wanted it to be something that you didn't have to read from cover to cover. And that you could come back to, and you wouldn't be like, oh shoot, I lost my place, I have to start all over. You could flip to any story, to any section of that book, and start there, and then go back, and then go to others. I wanted it to be something that you can read one story, read all the stories, it doesn't matter. And so that's another reason why I structured it in sections like that, with sort of per topic, for lack of a better term. And there is a journey you take through the book as well, if you choose to read it that way.
Yeah, I feel like I always, whenever someone says you don't have to read this book in order, I'm like, I'm not going to read in order, and then I just do, because that's just the way I read.
That's just the way you
no, there were a lot of great stories that I wanted to touch on a few, but there was I think Sarah Bareilles, that she did. Like, I knew her as a singer, but I didn't know she wrote a musical and all that.
She wrote a musical, and she was in it for a period of time, called Waitress.
Yeah, but I thought it was a cool story that you just wanted to work with her, so you auditioned, I think, and then you didn't get the part, but you still wrote her a thank you note and all that.
Yeah, the story was about more than that, and I want to clarify. It wasn't just me talking about, hey, Sarah Bareilles, because it's that, who cares if you auditioned for a musical? A million people audition for a musical. This was very specifically about a time in my life when I was having a major crisis of confidence due to something that was going on. And I don't want to give it away too much, because I want people to read it in the book. But I was having a major crisis of confidence, and I was afraid to sing. I was afraid of so many things. But the impetus that forced me back to at least trying was that I had this audition for Sarah, and she's an extraordinary artist, and she's an extraordinary human, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to meet her. And because of that meeting, and because of surviving it, it's not that I won the happy ending is not me suddenly getting a part on Broadway. That would have been lovely, but that's not the happy ending. The happy ending is getting that confirmation from someone else that you're okay. You got this. You absolutely got this. And someone who didn't need to take the time to do that tiny act of kindness from someone like Sarah is people don't realize how much they can affect people's lives. I'm sure she does, because she has, she has fans and people telling her, but I don't think people on the street, all of us, I don't think all of us realize you have the power to literally change someone's life with how you use your words.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to her for having used her words that way that day. And I'm so grateful that it happened, and I'm grateful that I get to share it with people.
No, that's what it was. That the story reminded me of when my grandpa died like 12 years ago. We found all these thank you letters that he wrote to, just like, we went on a cruise and he wrote a letter to the captain, or like random people that just thank you for little things. But I feel like it was
Yeah,
like her reaching out to you kind of reminded me of that. That's what it was
absolutely.
from that
And
story.
it's changed my life, and I know this is not me bragging, but this is me saying I know it happens. I know for a fact, I know people who have come to me and said this conversation that we had changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that. That's not why I had the conversation with you. I had the conversation with you because I wanted to chat with you.
Yeah.
So we had the opportunity to do that. And sadly, we also have the opportunity to really set someone off in a not great way. I especially with the internet the way it is, I think
Mm-hmm.
people forget that when you just haphazardly type something out of outrage or anger or whatever, or you just for some reason want to troll someone, which I don't understand, but people don't realize the power of that to hurt, to harm another human. And there's no it doesn't increase anyone when someone does that, either the person who's writing it and certainly not the person who's receiving it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really hope that people can start to, one of the things in this book is your words matter. They really matter.
Yeah. And there was a whole part about meeting your husband Rick, and well, I guess like what you just said about you went through the thing that you had trouble singing again in front of people, and I feel like
Oh, yeah.
that reminded me of, well, when you were saying, I think you were practicing, maybe if it was for that audition and you didn't want to sing in front of him, you're like, you have to
Yeah.
leave, you can't be here.
Yeah.
But I have, my girlfriend's like a trained singer,
Mm-hmm.
and she could sing like opera and all this stuff, and so I always feel also like this, like kind of embarrassed to sing in front of her
Right.
because of that too.
And that happens for a lot of us, and I got over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had to. Yeah. Yeah. I again, like, so I love that you are relating to the book.
But
And
it should be
I hope people do.
yeah, it should be like the person you're most comfortable in front of, but then you're still like, no, what are they gonna think of me? They're gonna hate me because of this, or but
Yeah, it's
that's
not
never
even
gonna
that.
happen.
It's just that they're gonna think, oh God.
Mhm.
Or even at that point when I was singing, I needed to not have feedback at all, not even good feedback. I needed to get back in touch with my reason for doing it and my assessment.
Yeah. And I love the Charlie sections of your dog, just because they also teach you, they're like silly stories sometimes, but they also teach you things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm telling you, having a pet is absolutely an educational experience.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Yeah, it's definitely changed my life.
hmm And the most important lesson from the book, I think, was there was a part where you talked about just wearing sunscreen every day, because I started doing that because my girlfriend she's fair skinned, or just like
Yeah. It
taking
was
care
just
of your skin.
but it was an example to show a
Yeah.
large. It was an example. I was trying to figure out, did I tell people to wear sunscreen? But it was an example to tell people a
Yeah,
large.
like something you didn't think of was how on a dark day
Yeah.
there's no
Well,
sun.
when I remember being a kid and reading
Hmm
like a first aid handbook or something, and they said, and it said you can even get a sunburn on a
Yeah,
cloudy.
that's what it was.
And I thought that was so extraordinary, not because, oh no, I can get a sunburn on a cloudy day. I thought the sun is always there. It's always there. It is always there and ready for you. So whatever the weather in your mind, the sun is always shining. Let it
hmm
shine. And that was the point that I
Yeah,
wanted.
like a twofer.
Yeah.
Mm. And I guess, were there any stories or lessons that you took out of the book that you thought were cool, but maybe they
I
didn't
mean, there are
fit,
a lot
or
of sections that I took out, but mostly because they were either redundant with all the stuff that I was
or
already
other stuff?
writing, or they didn't quite follow the path that I wanted to go on. Like once we found the structure of the book, I realized that some of them were not great.
hmm So you kind of wrote all these sections, or probably a bunch of stories, put them into sections, and then kind of
Yeah,
moved them around.
exactly.
That was the process of making it.
Exactly. That's
Hmm.
exactly it. Like I have a post-it wall and we put post-its up and
Oh.
moved them around to see where they would go
Hmm.
because each post-it was a section of the book.
Yeah.
So that's how we did it.
And then I guess I wanted to ask you some stuff about you and your career also.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I guess starting with acting, because I first saw you in or heard of you from, I guess from Overwatch was where I first saw you, maybe before that, but
Mhm.
from voice acting.
Right.
And then I just started seeing you in shows, and like my girlfriend would be watching a show and you'd pop up or you'd just be in all this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what's so it's one of the fun things about having started on this path a little late in the game
Hmm.
is that I've had a pretty long I've been acting for 25 years. It's just that I haven't been acting in the same medium
Yeah.
in 25 years. So I always say I don't care where people find me, I care that people find me. I care that you connect with either a play that I've been in or a TV show or a film or a song that I've sung or voice acting. I don't care where I meet people. I want to meet them.
Yeah.
And so my whole life I really haven't I haven't there've been periods of time maybe where I do think the first 10 years of my career was mostly focused on theater.
Hmm.
Um but ultimately I just want to tell stories.
Yeah.
I want to be able to tell stories.
And then I guess have you been doing more theater lately, or maybe
Theater,
not with the COVID
yeah,
also
theater,
kind of
no.
slowed it down?
Unfortunately, slowed it down for and the yeah, I haven't been able to do a play for a while. So right now it's been mostly television
Hmm.
and voiceover.
Yeah. Um, or and then was there a point where you kind of realized maybe you got a voiceover gig, or you just thought like, oh, I can also do acting like this way? Because I know you started in theater and more
Oh, well,
stuff,
it was honestly, it
or did it
was
just happen?
I wish, yeah, no, I wish it was a better story than this, but my agents just started sending me out on these auditions.
Hmm.
And I I was not going to turn down any auditions at that point.
Yeah.
Any audition I could get. So I started to get more and more auditions, and then ultimately Overwatch happened and a lot of other things happened at the same time. So I was very lucky. I was very, very lucky that that happened to be one of the first projects that I got to do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess I always hear people say how like everything is acting, like whether it's TV or voiceover or stuff,
Oh yeah,
you always have to
absolutely.
be acting. It's not just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I
One way or
can.
another, you cannot be a quote unquote voice actor without actor being part of that.
Yeah. But
Because a
what's the
voice by itself is that's singing, that's a whole different thing.
mhm,
This is you can't voice acting is acting. It's
mhm.
just using a particular instrument on your body as the through line. So yeah, no, absolutely acting it's
Yeah,
acting.
but I guess what would you say are the main differences to you, whether it's you're doing voiceover and you're in a studio or in front of a microphone versus theater that's like every night the same kind of thing, or a
I mean,
TV
there's
show that you
giant
can have
differences.
multiple
Well, I
takes.
mean, yeah, no, there are giant differences in every one of those. And I think the differences are somewhat obvious
Hmm.
because standing in front of 1,500 people in a theater is very different than standing alone in your room or in your studio. So the difference as an actor is just like the difference between speaking two romance languages. They both have the same root. They both have the same
Hmm.
um, uh, base language, but they are completely different languages, one way or
Yeah.
the other. French is different than Spanish, even if they have the same root.
Hmm. So I've been doing improv for I guess
Mhm.
like 6 years now here in Miami. And then I think that's what made me think like I should practice voice acting, was more to practice characters and sustaining characters on stage. Because anytime we do some kind of format where it was like I'm in one scene and then I have to come back as the same character, it was kind of
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
I
Well,
lose it. So I wanted to
it's
practice that
interesting.
more.
It's interesting because I do think the theater helped me in voice acting for that particular reason. Because I did a
Hmm.
lot of plays where I would change characters, but it's obviously still me.
Yeah.
So I would have to use my own physicality and my voice to be able to change that character in a way that people could see that this was a different character. So it definitely helped me in that sense. And
Hmm.
improv is the very much the same way.
Yeah. And then for I guess games and stuff. I know you're into tabletop gaming and like D&D because of
Yes.
Critical Role, but did that
Yeah.
start when you were a guest or part of Critical Role, or like you came in blind and then you're just like, I love this, or was it something you knew about already that
No,
you
I totally knew about it, but I knew about it because I had been gaming since I was 8 years old, so I loved it. But I knew about Critical Role specifically because I knew Matt and Marisha
Yeah.
before I started working with them. And Marisha is actually the reason I did start doing this sort of role-playing game entertainment that we did. I did a show called We're Alive Frontier, and she had recommended to the game master of that one that I join them. And wow, it was just such a beautiful, again, role-playing games are such a wonderful experience, and I really hope that everyone gets a chance to play them. It's a real chance to explore the human condition and not really in a safe space.
Mhm.
It's a great, it's long form improv for actors. It's
Yeah.
long form improv where you don't have to worry about an audience. It's really wonderful in so many ways.
No, I've been able to do it a few times, but it was cool because we had a group that was like half of us were from the theater that I go to, and then it was two of my friends that are just into the D&D, so we kind of like merged. Like we were trying to do more of the character stuff, and they were more into like the D&D stuff, like what does their character have and all that, and how are we going
Yeah,
to win.
you can really
And
get
then we
in.
kind of merged together.
You can really, some people play very specifically, they enjoy the mechanics. Some people enjoy the character. I'm much more about the character.
Yeah.
And I'm much more about, okay, this is what I have to work with. What can I do? Try to do.
Yeah. And then are you into video games too, or mostly the
I
tabletop?
was when I was younger. I'm terrible at first person shooters, and it seems like most things are first person, like
Yeah.
most things right now are first person shooters. So unfortunately, I'm not as into video games right now, even though I'm on the kind of other end of it. But I'll tell you what, I went to the BAFTA Game Awards this year to present an award, and I am just so floored by the incredible things that people are creating out there, that the developers are creating. I'm so floored at not just their artistry and their imaginations, which that alone is stunning, but just all these different games that would affect you in such a different way. I think video games, I don't think people realize enough how wonderful games can be for people.
Yeah.
Not just as entertainment, but for your own heart and for your own head. There are so many games that are just like just extraordinary. And I got to see all of those in one place and just realize, oh God, this is happening everywhere. This is amazing.
No, I even posted today about like music in games and how it's at the caliber, like in some games, of like film scores and stuff.
Absolutely.
And it's like music that I listen to now when I'm not playing a game, even sometimes. And Overwatch, I guess when it first came out for probably like 4 years, it was my top played game.
That's good.
Yeah, but I feel like I love the character of Symmetra, but I would never pick her because I didn't understand how to play her. But then every time I'd play Mystery Heroes, I'd end up playing her and I'd do amazing, and but I didn't know why.
But here's the thing, like I love the
like that
fact
happens
there
all
are
the
so
time.
many. I love the fact that there are so many different characters for everyone, because then you do have everybody. If you don't like Symmetra, great. There are 32 other characters,
Yeah.
or 35 other, I don't know how many we have anymore. There are so many other characters to play. You pick who is the one that you identify with the most.
But I feel like every time I'm out of the game for a while and I come back, I just go Mystery Heroes, so it like gives me people so I can see who I feel like playing that day, and then I find someone, I'm like, oh, I never understood this person, or I never play, and then I just like do really good. I'm like, oh, I like this person now. It just switches all the time.
Yeah, no, it's really nice to experiment with them and just figure out which one sits with you best.
And then Overwatch 2 is coming next week, but has it been, I guess, I know with Overwatch 1 there was like the seasonal updates and stuff, so you guys were probably going in and recording every once in a while like new lines or stuff, but has it been, I guess, to get ready for Overwatch 2, like a lot more work?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you exactly what's been going on. So I wish I could.
That's okay.
I am excited that the game is building. You know, that there are steps coming. I'm excited that there's more and more. I'm very excited.
And then have you been able to, I guess, see your friends again is there anything going, I guess, some kind of events for the game's launch that you'll get to like hang out with everyone again?
I don't think we have anything for the game launch. I mean, next week I'm going to New York for the book, and so I'll be there signing autographs and stuff on my book. But and so hopefully I'll get to connect with people who have played it at the time, which will be really exciting.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think we didn't plan anything strangely this time. I think we're all just, I think we see each other, we celebrate so much that I think, yeah, we no.
Yeah. And then do you have any, I guess, any cool stories about, you can't talk about Overwatch 2, but maybe something else you have coming up or that's been announced?
Well, the book has been the main thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can't really talk about any of the other projects I'm doing, but the book has been really the main thing that I've been working on. And I am going to be touring around the States and hopefully larger, maybe Canada. I really do want as many people as possible to get their hands on it. Because it's a message that I want to put out there.
Yeah. So you're going to continue touring for the book, or will it be whenever you're like at a convention, you're going to try to?
Well, it'll be at conventions as well, but I'm definitely going to New York next week. We're working on putting together some things in Atlanta. So yeah, it has to be around my acting career because that comes first. But yes, it absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Well, hopefully you'll come back to Miami soon too.
Oh, that would be lovely. Yeah.
And then what are your favorite Symmetra lines, either old or new?
So many.
There's a lot.
So many. I mean, it's so hard to pick. For a very long time, I was just still a favorite. Welcome to My Reality was very much a part of my heart, because it's her saying, "You're in my world now. Look out." And I just love that line. And I love the new ultimate, obviously. It's not so new anymore, but the second ultimate that she ended up having, I love to get to speak that in Hindi, which is really a lovely thing. Yeah, no, I every day I have a different favorite.
Yeah.
So.
And I just wanted to ask, I guess the last question would be if you have any dream projects, whether it's working on a certain IP or just something you make up. And
there's so many dream projects. I do want to be in an action movie very badly. I would like an action comedy.
Yeah,
I would very much like to.
That'd be fun.
That would be very fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess I was gonna ask you about your book tour, anything else you want to plug, but we talked about the book tour, but anything else?
Yeah, that's mainly
New York is coming up.
And also the book itself. Like we can get the book itself on streamily.com/Anjali Bhimani. You can get the signed version there as well. And then you can, if you don't care about that, you can get the ebook on Amazon, and you can also get the paperback on Amazon as well. And you can get the ebook on barnesandnoble.com.
Okay.
The audiobook is coming. We're just waiting on Amazon to process it. It's been processing for so long. But it's coming. And
did you record it when
I did,
as you were writing it? Or I guess it was getting published.
No. I did not record it as I was writing it. I recorded it after the Kickstarter happened, because we hit that stretch goal. So that's when I started recording. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Yes, thank you so much. It's so sweet of you to have me, and thank you for being so persistent when we were, unable to get those times together. I really appreciate it.
I wish I was available the week before, but I was out of town. If not, we could have launched this with the book, but I'm going to try to do it for Monday or Tuesday.
No, honestly, this is fantastic. This is great timing, because we want to keep the momentum going.
This is not your time. Yahi param vastavika hai. Surrender my will. Raksha Pranali. Heroes never die. Our fates are entwined. Teleporter online. Remove. This is the
into the unknown.